In episode 43 of the Fanzone Podcast, we discuss the opening of Matchday of the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League and the most anticipated game being Hardrock versus Scotland. Despite the 0-0 draw, it was a thrilling match and possibly these two teams are setting themselves up to be title contenders. We also talk about the state of our stadia in Zimbabwe. Ascot, Gibbo and Baobab Stadium all waterlogged over the weekend. Are we as Zimbabweans and for municipalities doing enough to keep our stadiums renovated to the Castle Lager PSL standard levels, or should there be more being done? Enjoy this and all of that and more in episode 43 of the Fanzone Podcast.
Fanzone, united by the game, powered by Moore's World of Sport.
Welcome to the Fanzone Podcast, your favorite Zimbabwean sports podcast, talking about the sporting activities in and around and involving Zimbabwe. My name is Sips.
And I'm Steve Vickers. We are up and running. The 2026 Castle Lager Premier Soccer League season is underway. What a great game. No goals, but a fiercely fought contest at the brand new Chahwanda Stadium on Sunday as Hardrock drew 0-0 with Scotland. Loads of talking points on that one. We're going to dig into that. Also, Caps and Dynamos getting victories at the start of the season. Highlanders held to a 1-1 draw by Bulawayo Chiefs. And gate charges going up to $5 for the rest of the ground. We'll give our thoughts there. Joining us on the show this week is welcome back to Star FM sportscaster Simba Chiminya.
Thanks, Steve. And what a game to open the season. Of course, no goals, but really entertaining. Lots of taking points from that game.
Yeah, so you were there at Chahwanda Stadium for the Hardrock Scotland game. Tell us more.
I was there by 11 a.m.
Oh.
I wanted to be the earliest bet, but when I got there were a lot of people already there. And what I liked was the atmosphere and even the build-up. I can say that I really liked Scotland, the way that they mobilized their supporters, because by the time I got into Kwekwe City around 11, I could see there were already some guys selling their merchandise. And when I got there was already a bus with supporters. I just called them the Scotland babes. They were the grannies from Scotland, 60 years, 70 years. And, they were really confident. And I spoke to a few of them. And one was calling herself Abururu, and she was saying that they were going to win by 3-0. But later the supporters started coming in, and the Scotland fans, the Hard Rock fans started coming in numbers, and they filled their bay. And I liked the compactness of the stadium. It's small, the noise, the atmosphere, you could really feel it. And I think in terms of atmosphere, I've been to so many stadiums. My glass stadium in Chahwanda used to be my best in terms of the atmosphere, but Chahwanda Stadium is something else. The fans, the atmosphere was terrific, and I think we are going to really enjoy football at Chahwanda Stadium. And the easy access into the stadium, the parking lots, I think so much of space for parking. And going forward, I think there are going to be a lot of improvements in the things that are not there. I think in terms of network and stuff. But in terms of football atmosphere, I think it's going to be one of the best stadiums in the country. And I think for some of the fans that were there could attest to that.
Wow. So do you think that because there's so many fans because of Matchday 1 and it was against Scotland, will we see the same sort of turnout when Hardrock plays Zimbabwe, do you think?
Even when they're going to play Bulawayo Chiefs, or they're going to play Chicken in next week, the week after this one, I think they're still going to have more fans, because they are fans that are just going in there to have a feel of the stadium because of its stature, and people just want to be in there. And I think also in terms of football itself, they would want to go and watch the players in action. And there's a big catchment area for them, because people coming in from Gweru, people even coming in from Chahwanda, because there was no match there. And there is Gokwe, there's Jombe, and Kwekwe itself is a big catchment area. So I think a lot of people are going to come and watch games at Chahwanda Stadium. People love football, especially from the small towns.
And for those of us watching on TV, on the right-hand side, there was these glass-fronted rooms. What are they, Simba, at the top of the stands, which were empty at first, and then we saw fans sitting there.
Also, those are the villas, and they're about 18 or so, and then you can book in there, and you just open, you slide the door, and then you're in the stadium. You watch the match. So just behind the doors of the villas, there are about 4 seats or so. You can choose to sit on those seats, or you can just go down on those rows, and then you join the spectators to watch, or you can choose to go to the rest of the ground, or if you want the atmosphere, or you can go to the VIP. But those are for people that want to have a night at the stadium, and you just wake up at the stadium and get to watch the games. So say Highlanders are coming, Dynamos are coming, Cape Town are coming, and you don't want that congestion getting in there. Just book your villa.
Wow. High-end stuff. Well, it was an exciting game for a goalless draw. Both teams had plenty of chances. Neither coach that happy or that disappointed, but exciting contest, Simba.
Yeah, exciting contest. And you look at the players that were in there. I was just trying to look at the foreign players, the flavor that they brought in. And Moses Chidolo playing as right back. And I liked the technical abilities of him, because at first I just said Moses Chidolo, right back. But if you watched that, most of the time when Scotland created chances, it was because of the moves that would have started from the right channel where he was playing. And then Lisco Dlamini from Hardrock, the central midfielder from Eswatini, and the way that he was playing. And first half, the duos between him and Nole Jimsona, I liked his energy, the way you get into those duos. And Andrew Piri from Zambia, playing is just behind Washington Avaya for Hardrock. Yeah, there were some glimpses from him, the energy that he also showed. And Kwake Twala for Scotland, left back, he was good. But I also like the guys from Hardrock, the captain, Mnyarazidiro Nyenye, the way that he played like a true captain.
Still playing, still captain.
Still captain. And Mnashe Bamara. Remember the game that cast him on the spotlight last year, the first game of the season against Scotland. He was playing for Triangle, and he was really good. And yesterday, he really wanted to show people that, when you're up against Scotland, you can really do well. And he was good. The duo between him and Abubakar Moffat, at first in the first half, it was Abubakar Moffat who was winning most of the duos. But in the second half, we saw Mnashe Bamara coming back stronger, and he began to win most of those games. And another player who really impressed me, Mishek Ngwenya. He was let go by FC Platinum, but the way that he was so compact in that defense, and he never gave Timon Machope a chance, and he was really good in central defense for Hardrock, and it really helped them, because in the first half Hardrock had an upper chance, but in the second half we saw Hardrock coming back into the game and getting some confidence.
So Steve, we've been looking forward to this game for 2 months now, since the PSL released the fixtures in December. Did the game live up to the hype?
We would have loved goals, obviously. We would have loved some goals, but some 0-0 draws are high-quality games. There were chances, clear chances on both sides. So I think it did deliver. We know you can get low-scoring games at the start of the season, so it would have been nice to have had at least one goal there. But I think in terms of the standard of football, really good for Matchday 1.
Really good. I know you are someone that likes Knowledge Musona. He did miss 2 chances. How did you feel about those 2 that he slipped?
Yeah, not as explosive as the week before in the Castle Challenge Cup against Dynamos, where he was absolutely outstanding. He played the whole 90 minutes as well on Sunday, so the coach still wanted more from Knowledge, but he just couldn't quite produce it. But still got the quality, but not as dazzling as the week before.
Yeah, it's the Neliso Dlamini effect and Mnashe Bamara, because you could find that once you get hold of the ball, there will be somebody behind him. And I think their coach, Kelvin Kaintu, did his homework, and he told the players never give Knowledge Msona a chance to dictate, pace of the game, and they did that.
Yeah, so I agree with Steve. Obviously, the first game of the season, you can't really expect a 5-goal thriller, but one goal would have been nice to see. Another game which is good to watch was the Highlanders, the Bulawayo derby between Highlanders and the Bulawayo Chiefs, a 1-1 draw. A brilliant goal from outside the box from Dambo, so Zibusiso Dambo. But also a good watch, Benjamin Adeogan scoring from the spot. Steve, how do you think about that game?
Yeah, a bit of a sluggish start to the season for Dynamos. Coach Benjani said he was happy to take the point there, although the fans were expecting to win that against a newly promoted or back in the Premier League side in Chiefs. But Chiefs were pretty good, especially in the first half. The penalty was taken with power by the Nigerian Adeogun. But besides that, the Highlanders have got to move on from there pretty swiftly. Andrew Mbeba not in the squad at all. Remember, we talked about him. He'd stood his ground to get a stand before for his sign-on fees, and he's not in the squad, which I think is concerning. There's some decent players in the Bosso squad, but if you compare that to the quality of what we saw at Chahwanda Stadium, they're going to have to up their game.
And some of your thoughts on that provisional squad from Highlanders?
Yeah, I think without Andrew Mbeba, it becomes somehow a lightweight, because you still need one outstanding player in the team, and it's still very much needed. I didn't see Hubert Ngube as well on that team, and I thought, with the way that he played last year, he was going to be one of the players to watch out for this season. And probably still a provisional squad, yes, and they're going to have some more additions before the window closes at the end of this month. But for Andrew Mbeba, they say the negotiations are still going on. But for one player like that, I think you just need to break the bank and give in to his demands, because right now, I don't think that there's a player that is going to be of the same stature as him in that Highlander squad. And also given the fact that Elios Banda is no longer playing and is now the goalkeeper's coach. So you'd need one player of character, and this is the same thing that is pertaining in almost of all the teams that you are touting as the dark horses or the favorites for the title. Because when you look at Scotland, how many captains do you take out of that team in terms of responsibility? You look at even Hardrock itself. There are a lot of people that are in there that are of high quality, mentally and also in terms of skill.
Oh yeah, so could this be early signs of trouble for Highlanders that did manage to salvage a 1-1 draw, but we'll see how the rest of their season turns out. It also means that after the end of a match day one, the Team of the Week, the Fanzone Team of the Week, will be making its return. It's been a while since we've done one of these, and Steve, it feels good to be doing them again. So yeah, take us away.
Yeah, sure. So we're keeping an eye across all of the games. We've got correspondents in different parts of the country for this new season. And as always, you have your say, disagree or agree with us with our Team of the Week. And lots of players from the Chahwanda Stadium game, but our goalkeeper of the week, Kelvin Shangiwa, he did very well for Hunters. Maybe he was one of the Scotland trio of keepers last season. Big saves against Moors, ensuring that Hunters got a point on that Friday game, the first game of the season. In defence, Mishek Ngwenya, Simba's already said how outstanding he was in defence there for Hardrock. Moses Shidolo, also mentioned by Simba there at right back for Scotland. We knew the Namibian as a central defensive midfielder last season. Itai Mabunu for Chicken Inn also impressed us in the Saturday game in Bulawayo. Midfield, we got Marvellous Mukumba, 2 goals in an entertaining Platinum derby as Ngezi Platinum Stars came from behind to win 2-1 against FC Platinum. And Mukumba at 30 still going strong, a bit of an unlikely double scorer, but 2 very sharp finishes from him. Jarrison Selemani in that same game put FC Platinum ahead after 7 minutes. That was the first goal of the 2026 season. That honour belongs to Jarrison, who impressed again. Monashe Bamara for Hardrock and Abubakar Moffat for Scotland, as Simba said. Both had their periods of dominance in the midfield in the big game between Hardrock and Scotland, so they make it to our Team of the Week. Ismail Wadi for Caps United, a goal and an assist in their 2-1 victory, so good going there for Caps, who share the lead at the top of the table with Dynamos on goal difference. He was such an asset in the second half of last season, and he started again well. Jairos Kasondo in our Team of the Week again, as he was in the closing weeks of last season, getting a goal for Dynamos in their 2-1 victory. And watch out for Rahim Binwell with Chicken Inn. He's a Malawian forward. He scored on his debut in their 1-1 draw and generally was impressive in that contest under Tondera Ndiraya. So it looks as though he's a good signing there for Chicken Inn. An impressive debut for him. And again, you can agree, you can disagree. We'd love to hear your thoughts on our Team of the Week, Sips.
Yeah, as Steve said, you can disagree or agree. I would also have liked to have seen Zibusiso Dambo that goal. It was great. And, maybe next week we'll see what happens with him. But our player of the week is going to be a marvelous Mukumba from Ngezi with that brace. So obviously, well done to him. So as Matchday 1 wraps up, it also means the beginning of the Moors PSL Predictor. It's great to be back, and it's already so competitive, leading the board Chicken Ass with 73 points. I'm not sure how he's managed to do that, but wow, well done to you. Also, we'll talk about the name, but it's a funny name, I guess. But all the way down to Maestro 29, who's in 10th. He was also one of the top 3 leaders in the AFCON Predictor. So well done to our top 3, Chicken Ass, Malambo on 60 points, and Gwanzura all gold in 3rd place. Steve, somehow this guy's managed to score 73 points. Yeah. What did your weekend look like?
Yeah, good solid start. I'm on 45. I'm happy with that. In behind those early front runners. I had my joker on Caps to win 1-0, but they won 2-1. But I still get myself 10 points there with my joker. A couple of correct score predictions as well, including that Hunters Moors. So, yeah, the strategy of going for low scores at this stage of the season, it's served me fairly well because it's only match day 1, but yeah, I'm happy so far, Sips.
Exactly, yeah, Steve. I put my joke on the Simba Manika Diamonds versus Simba Bora game, 1-0 for Simba Bora, and right up until the last minute, they only scored then, so I was thinking, geez, I've wasted my joke. So I got the full 20.
Oh, nice one.
I'm very happy with that. Simba, going up into next week, and you're going to be doing your predictor as well. What's the strategy you'll be looking to use?
I think I just follow how these teams play. I think also knowing the players and the coaches, normally how they set their teams, I think I'm going to take the money, I'm going to take everything. Because when I do my predictions on the Daily Sports on Star FM, yeah, I'm mostly above 50% in terms of my predictions.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow,
okay.
It's going to be good. Well, it's competition. There's definitely going to be work cut out for you. So, guys, if you have not signed up yet, fanzone.co.zw, on the website, you'll see the Predictor tab. Sign yourself up. For those of you that are signed up, keep predicting. We are enjoying looking at all of the scores. Now, Matchday 1's wrapped up. We're looking ahead to Matchday 2, which is exciting stuff. Dynamos versus Highlanders, a rerun of what we saw in the Gyros Jury Cup a couple of weeks ago. But after this time round, Dynamos are coming off salvaging a 2-1 win against TelOne at Ascot Stadium, and Highlanders have drawn 1-1 against Bluy Chiefs. With the squad, the provisional squad we've seen from Highlanders, and the result from Dynamos over the weekend, Simba, are we going to see something different from the Gyros Jury Cup?
Yeah, I think for Dynamos, they've got confidence from this victory. Of course, the game wasn't really a pretty one, but then the character that they showed from conceding just 2 minutes in the game, come back and get to score, particularly Jairos Kasondo getting to score, one of their top strikers at the moment. And Franka German also, it was a beautiful header that he scored. So I think for Dynamos, it gives them confidence going into this game. But for Islanders, I think also the fact that they managed to come back into the game against Bluy Chiefs and got that goal. The Nigerian Benjamin Odugan, I think getting to score again also gives him the confidence. This is what you need going into a big game like that. And but I think for Dynamos Highlanders, like they always say, that you don't need much into reading into the previous performances, because the players, the coaches, everyone else will just rise up to the occasion. But one thing for certain that I've seen is that people will come out in numbers, because the way that I saw Dynamos fans are coming to Gweru for that match against TelOne, they have got this belief, or it's just early days, but they just liking the vibe. They want to go rally behind their team. And I'm pretty sure that if the games that I've seen so far, we are going to have more numbers than we had last year in terms of the fans coming in.
Yeah, it's Matchday 2, Steve. Can we expect a big turnout?
Definitely, yes. I was surprised that Dynamos won that game, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's a really good result for them, and they're going to have plenty of support. I'm sure that the Bosso fans are going to pack out the city end at Rufaro Stadium as well, because there is this good vibe at the start of this new season. Dynamos would be my favourites to win it. Highlanders weren't that good in Harare last season. They struggled in a lot of their games. I take Dynamos to win it. Maybe at my 0-0.
Goal to know, right? And who do you think is going to be the person that steps up for Dynamos this season? We already know that Jairus Kusundo seems to be in good form. Do you think he'll be the one to sort of spearhead this movement for Dynamos?
Certainly he could be a reliable source for them, but there's others who didn't play that badly in the Gyros jury. Certainly against Scotland they were exposed, but we'll see who's going to step up. But I still think the squad is not that strong, but they've got a bit of momentum.
Yeah, I think for Dynamos, watch out for Stanley Billiard. He had a decent game, good game against TelOne. And then there's also Christopher Neti, the right back who was about from Ghana. And he is also good. And then there is Idris Mfo, the goalkeeper from Cameroon. I think is going to be called upon for this big game. And I think he's coming in is going to give so much competition to Tatenda Makone and Hamonari. And for now, I think after this win and the coming in of these foreigners, there is going to be a bit of an improvement in the Dynamos play going forward. And I'm not really sure if they are also going to beat the registration to have some of their foreigners for this game against Islanders, but they still have one or two midfielders and the striker that are coming in.
Okay. So Steve's prediction was 1-0 in favour of Dynamos. What's yours, Simba?
Yeah, I think Dynamos are going to win it. I'll still put it on 1-0 or even 2 goals.
2 goals?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I think still fairly early days, so I'll give it a 0-0 draw for between either side. And I think it's going to be a good game, always at Rufaro Stadium as well. A lot of things have happened definitely in the rumours section last week when Hardrock announced that they released a graphic premiering their game against Scotland, and on the graphic it said the rest of ground entry was $10, which then obviously caused an uproar, and later it was released as a graphic with no price, and the PSL then also released a statement saying that it will be a $5 charge. So Simba, I guess first of all, what are your thoughts on Hardrock charging $10 for a seat at Chahwanda Stadium, and then it being reverted to in the decision to make it $5 from the PSL?
I think it was just because somebody jumped the gun. I think it was a verbal conversation that happened, and somebody was told, yes, it's okay, you can charge $10, but without a written correspondence supporting that, and that's the reason why they had to change. But for me, I still believe that for our football to grow, we need to charge something that is going to give us returns. Yes, people are saying that people should remain at $3 or so, but for big games, I think we should capitalize on that, because when you look at even most of our VIPs and VVIPs, most of those that enter, it's either those are complimentary tickets or it's accreditation. and not much is getting into the coffers. And I've seen people arguing that, $10 or $5 for football, which is poor, but how do we grow when you're not investing into that? And people would compare our football to say, I would rather pay my subscription to watch English Premier League. But English Premier League or European football didn't just grow. There was a lot of investment that was put in there. So when, say, the PSL decide on a figure, or a club decides on a figure, it will be a figure that you'll be looking at to say, if we continuously have this figure, say for a year or 2 years, we are going to invest better into our football so that we can have better quality football. Just look at the English Premier League. How many foreigners have gone in there and helped improve that brand? How many have also managed to help in the selling of replica jerseys or any other merchandise advertising? Look at Cristiano Ronaldo. He came from somewhere to improve the English Premier League. Look at Thierry Henry, Patrick Vieira, all the other players that we've been talking about. They came from somewhere to improve it. So for us, as long as we still charge that little money, we are not going to attract, big name players, and we are not going to improve our football. Right now, we are at this pedestal that we have managed to climb. Why? Because of these Mbingas that have come in and poured money into our game. But it did not been for them. Where were we going to be? We're going to be stuck backwards. So for us, I think people, it's easier, to criticize, to say the money is too much. But how are we going to grow our football if we don't charge that money? And there have been comparisons about, people that go for musical shows. How much do they pay? Yes, of course, it's not weekly that they get to pay that money. But as long as we want to improve our football, there are a lot of stakeholders that need to come in. Municipalities for stadiums, everybody else has to play a role. And there should be investment first for our football to have better quality.
Yeah, so the PSL announced on Saturday morning that it's now $5 minimum for matches for rest of ground, and it can be increased for certain games if you apply in time, which Hardrock didn't apply in time for. So, yeah, $5 up from $3. That's a 60% increase. It's pretty huge, of course, because of lack of change. People normally paying in cash. It means if you're going to go up from $3, you've got to go up to $5. That's a big increase. It'd be nice if we see some improvement at the grounds as a result, which I doubt if we will. But is football worth $5? If we compare in South Africa, it's roughly the same, 60, 80 rand, somewhere there. Depending on the game, depending on the club as well. So it's not a lot, especially with all these foreign players that we can watch this season. It'll be really good if clubs had some autonomy. So if $5 was a guideline, but let's say a smaller team like, say, Rentals, if maybe they want to drop it to $3 to get more fans, or even Manica Diamonds, they're playing in Gibbo, so how many fans are going to go and watch in Triangle when Manica Diamonds from Mutare are having to play away from home? Even if they charged $1, you get better revenue in a case like that. Even maybe Hunters playing at Rufaro Stadium when they're a Marondera side. So a bit of autonomy, I think, would be good, but going higher for the big games, I'm okay with that. And $5, I mean, I could tell you that to watch Chelsea or Man City is $90, but that doesn't really help the argument because that's a totally different sporting economy. But that's how much it will cost you to watch an English Premier League game, somewhere in that region of £70, which is $90. So it's not a lot. You can't compare the facilities at all. But overall, I would support it. But I think it'd be good to let clubs drop that down for smaller clubs and for smaller games.
So yeah, on that though, because surely, Simba, is it fair to have the prices standardized for, not to, Ascot's a good stadium, but there was waterlogged over the weekend. Can you pay $5 at Ascot, but also $5 at Chahwanda Stadium? There's like a huge gap between the two stadiums, so surely it's not fair on the Chahwanda side as well.
Yeah, but I think if you read through the lines of that memo from the PSL, the reasons for the increases, they spoke about levies and then taxes. And then if you also saw even the taxes that are also increased in terms of betting, you can see that, the taxes are getting into football. And the clubs, the PSL would also want to break even, and that's the reason why we are having such a situation. But say, yes, there was an investment that was made at Chahwanda Stadium, and for TelOne, they don't own that stadium, but they still need that $5. So the state of the stadium, it doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, how many clubs are going to have a waiver because of the state of the stadium? Probably it would only be Mo's Hardrock that have got better facilities of their stadiums. But I think when we want to really talk about football development in this country, we need a big indaba where we put in all stakeholders together, because it's not about the football authorities alone, but even those from the local government, because you still have the custodians of the stadiums. They are municipalities. Do they have the money to spruce up those stadiums? And do they have the will also? Because, in terms of priorities, most of them might not have the priorities that we have as football-loving people. For them, they would say our main priorities is refuse collection and service delivery. So for the stadiums, it's an afterthought. So as long as we have a situation like that in the country, it's going to be really difficult to standardize these things. So until probably we have individuals coming in and having their own stadiums, like what happened with Prophet Watermaga with the Art Stadium, and then Chahwanda Stadium, and then Simbandoro comes in, spruces up Wadzanai Stadium to a better standard. That's the only way we can develop. But as long as we are still in this situation economically as a country, it's going to be difficult.
Luveve Stadium's not been approved for this season in Bulawayo, which is cause for concern, because Barber Fields is going to get worn out with too many games being held there, and it's a good location, completely way out of town, so giving you a different potential audience there, different crowd to go and watch. So is that money going to go into maintaining stadiums? That is a very big question there, because if some of it is, but then it's owned by the council, is Luveve. So but if some of it somehow could go back, that would be great.
Well, let us know what you guys think in the comment section. Is the increase from $3 to $5 worth it for watching games in the PSL? Continuing our topic on stadiums, we touched on it briefly, but Ascot Stadium was waterlogged over the weekend, also as well as Gibbo and at the Baobab as well. So definitely a clear sign that some people, I guess, will call it rubbish that our stadiums are getting waterlogged. But I guess on the other hand, you could say that because we don't normally play in the rainy season, it would make sense that our football pitches struggled with the rain over the weekend. But Simba, you were there in Gweru. Did I get that wrong?
Yes.
But yeah, you were there in Gweru.
I was there.
What were your thoughts on, because it's a big inconvenience having to postpone a game due to rain?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be postponed and then probably played on a later date, but they just forced the game to be played, and I'm pretty sure it was because probably they looked at the cost that would be involved and who was going to foot the bill, and I think the bill is supposed to be footed by the PSL. Because Dynamos would have travelled to fulfill a fixture. But again, I think also PSL will be looking at their coffers and say, are we going to be able to do that? And then also looking at the fixture congestion as well. They're going to do that. But I think the problem that we have, like I said before, is that it's a problem that we need all stakeholders involved, because the situation that we have is that most of our stadiums are owned by municipalities, and the municipalities are overburdened by other responsibilities. So who is going to take care of them? The only other stadium that is owned by a municipality that is in good condition is Mandava Stadium, the home of FC Platinum. And FC Platinum, they entered into, the Shawne Town Council entered into a partnership with Mimosa Mine, the owners of FC Platinum, and have a private-public partnership, and they managed to renovate that stadium to the standard that it is. So this is the same thing that should happen. But how many companies are willing to do that in this country?
Yeah, so drainage is an issue. Gibbo had a lot of rain, so too did the Baobab Stadium. They managed to play, although the ball wasn't moving that well at the Baobab Stadium, but Ascot, it was a sorry sight. The track around the pitch was flooded with water, so there's no drainage working there clearly.
Yeah, and it's obviously, renovations can't be done midway through the season, just as it's starting, and not anytime soon. So we got to hope that there's going to be no more rains.
The other challenge, Sips, is even when you hear these municipalities saying that we are going to do renovations of a stadium, they are not going to be wholesome renovations like what they happened with Mandawa Stadium, that they would dig up the wall playing pitch, and then they will lay some drainage, and then they will cover it up, and that process took the whole year. We had Rufaro Stadium closed, but what came out of that? Nothing really. And this year, Sakuva Stadium is closed for renovations, but this is the first time that it was closed for renovations. But what came out of the initial renovations? So as long as we are still doing short jobs in terms of renovations, we're not doing much. And why are we doing these short jobs is because of the limited finances. And as long as we don't have funding, we are not going to get better stadiums that are going to help us in terms of alleviating this problem of waterlogged pitches.
Yeah, well, lots to think about and lots to comment on. Also remember to share your thoughts and comments on the stadium and the state of our stadia in Zimbabwe. But there's a rumor going around that Willard Katsande could potentially be returning to Zimbabwe to coach. Do you think that could be a possibility?
Yeah, and Willard Katsande is expected in Zimbabwe on Tuesday, and will be heading to Chinhoyi to be the Rangers coach. So Rangers, last year they were known as Chinhoyi Rangers, and then they rebranded to just Rangers, and now it's an amalgamation of a number of business people in and around Chinhoyi. So they thought that they can start with Willard Katsande. But I'm really happy with this development that we're having. Most of our legends or former national team players coming back home. We saw Peter Love coming back from South Africa as the team manager at Scotland. And over the weekend, I saw Ezra Mnyandoro, and he's now a regular in Kwekwe. And he could be one of the scouts for Kwekwe United. They're playing Division 1, but he was there at their sponsorship unveiling, and he could get a role in there. So the more we have these former stars, and because of their clout also coming back home, it's going to increase in the visibility that we need on our football. And over the weekend, I also saw Sandile Zungu, the owner of Amazulu of South Africa, it's the chairman, and he was in the stands at Chahwanda Stadium watching that game. And 2 weeks ago, we had Hardrock ownership at Chahwanda, and the chairman, Wellington Mpandare, going to South Africa to watch the game between Amazulu and Sundowns. And you also saw Simba Ndoro, the owner of Simba Bora, and his Secretary General Taurajani, also going to South Africa to watch matches. So the more we are going to have these synergies and these teams that are a notch higher than us coming to Zimbabwe is going to improve our football. Now South Africans are those players that are based in South Africa coming here, and the owners of football in South Africa coming to Zimbabwe, something that is good for us.
Wow. Yeah, wow. That's a great room and great growth as well within our Zimbabwean footballing world. Taking us a step off from the football pitch and onto the cricket pitch, our lady chevrons have been touring New Zealand in what has been a one-sided affair all our games so far. We have lost, but that's not unexpected. we did know it was going to be a tough outing for us, but it's great exposure and also a first-time tour of New Zealand for our Lady Chevrons.
Yeah, so it's historic in New Zealand for the first time. Huge gulf, of course, in ability between the Lady Chevrons and New Zealand. So heavy defeats in every single game, first in the T20 series, then in the 50 overs. Sunday's game, very concerning though for our 20-year-old superstar Kelly Ndlovu, who had to be taken to hospital after being hit on the head with a very nasty bouncer. She was out of hospital later on in the evening on Sunday. She retired hurt on 12. So from all of us here, we say get well soon to Kelly Ndlovu. You can never condone bowling like that to the head. So thankfully, it looks as though she's going to be okay. But otherwise, difficult but good exposure for the Lady Chevrons in New Zealand.
Yeah, we hope that Kellis does get better soon, because she is an absolute star when it comes to the bats, and she does very well for the Lady Chevrons. But as we said, Steve, it's going to continue to be a learning curve for our Lady Chevrons, and hopefully they'll continue to get better, strength from strength. Simba, when you heard that Lady Chevrons, when it was announced that they're going to go to New Zealand for an historic tour, which is something very great which has happened, because when they went to the international qualifiers, T20 qualifiers in January, they lost all of their matches. So this sort of came out of nowhere. But were you surprised at this announcing of the tour?
Not really, because what I've been seeing with the Zimbabwe cricket is that they're trying to push so much that there is exposure for our national team players and also for the national teams. And I remember having an interview with the managing director, Gibbo, saying that he's trying to push so much that cricket becomes, if not the most followed sport in the country, or the one that will be bringing much of success to the country in terms of sports. So I wasn't really surprised, because I know that Zimbabwe cricket really wants to have Zimbabwean cricket high up there among the best in the world.
Yeah, so those are Lady Chevrons in New Zealand. Our men's Chevrons, after their exit on the Super 8 World Cup, they were actually stuck in Dubai, but we've heard news that they will be coming back in batches, so we'll be glad to have them back home after their great campaign in the ICC Men's T20 World Cup. And
and a bit of perspective, as much as India put 250 plus against us, it happened twice after that, including in the final against New Zealand. So actually, when you look back now, it was a heavy defeat to India, but Brian Bennett's 97 and how we played there wasn't actually that bad at all. So actually we can look back at the Super 8 stage, as much as it was difficult, and we can say it wasn't as bad as we first thought.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't, which is also good. Shows that cricket is growing and improving. But yeah, I think Simba, thank you so much for sitting in the fan zone with us. Enjoyed this episode with you. Guys, remember, the predicting season is already up and starting. If you have not joined, please do not be late. Even being one match day late could be, the loss of a podium or the leaderboard position for you. So fanzone.co.zw, match day 2 is up and ready for you to start predicting. We'll see you guys in the next episode.